Welcome to The Road to Success, a podcast devoted to the small business owners in the freight industry. Thank you for listening to The Road to Success. I am your host, Aaron Peterson, and if you haven't yet, don't forget to hit subscribe on your podcast app. For this episode, we are going to share some of your responses to the Road to Success podcast question, when did you first realize you wanted to become an entrepreneur? But before we do that, we have an interview with Landstar Agent Bobby Schlieske. And if you don't know what an independent freight agent here is, our independent freight agents work directly with shippers to evaluate their transportation needs and develop the best solutions by using Landstar's network of capacity providers. Although they operate under the Landstar umbrella, sales agents are independent small business owners who need to provide customers with superior service to be successful themselves. Essentially what that means is they are our first line with customers. Once again, we are shining a light on technology, but this time we're talking about a tool to help Landstar agents. We all know time is money, so we're not going to waste any more of yours. Let's get right into it. All right, I am here with the president and owner of Best Way Inc., which is located in South St. Paul, Minnesota. He's been an independent Landstar agent since 1987. That was a minute ago. Inducted. Woo. Woo is the first thing you think of.
You're aging me, Aaron.
You were inducted into Landstar's Chief Executive Circle Gold in 2010. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Best Way Inc. has been recognized multiple times throughout the years for its quality service. His revenue has been in the tens of millions for years. He is a very successful Landstar agent. Basically, Bobby, what I'm saying is you're pretty good at this.
Well, I try to be. I got a good, strong partner with Landstar, so they help me grow where we are today, for sure.
Well, Bobby Schlieske, tell me how you first got into transportation just as an overall field. How did that happen?
Well, I don't know. It's like anything, I guess, in life. I know earlier on in between high school and beginnings of college, I actually started driving a dock truck, working for a friend of mine. Actually, I had an aluminum factory, and I was actually kind of looking at it on the backside of this, doing factory-type work. I said, I got to find a way to get out of here. So I looked up going outside. I thought, well, maybe I'll pick up driving this truck, and it was a straight truck. Did that for a while. Kind of enjoyed it. Outside of that, if I really had to tell you the beginnings of my transportation experiences and, of course, where I am today, that's probably where it began. And then from there, went into the music business, selling electronics to, if people can remember, the old 8-tracks.
Did you really? I didn't know this story.
And of course, seeing that world change to cassettes and CD, and of course where we are today. But bottom line to that, I've always enjoyed engaging with people, even back then. And believe it or not, as life was going on, I decided that I was going to be a ski instructor, and I was going to be going out west. So I had lined up this job, went out one summer. I was going to be working in a kitchen of all things on a mountainside and then being a ski instructor in the wintertime, and came back home telling my parents what I'm going to do. And at the time, my dad was in the trucking business and in the beginning stages of the old Ryder Ranger days, when it was just Ranger. And he said, son, I understand this is what you want to do, but why don't you just try to give this a try? And I never really had a true interest in the business, and I basically shook his hand. I said, okay, what do I have to do? And basically that's where it started, and here I am today. It started in a dispatch cycle, and from hiring trucks to dispatching to sales, and of course things had changed, and then moving on to having my own agency, hiring people, and off we went to the races. Things are good.
Yeah, you said all that, and I'm still back on 8-tracks. What? What did you?
So true. LPs are coming back too, Aaron. This is what the beauty of music. We all need music in our lives.
That is a journey, my friend. That is a journey. 8-tracks to ski instructor to Landstar agent. That's fantastic.
Yes.
You kind of alluded to it, but one of the questions we've asked people on social media is what made you want to be an entrepreneur, which means you're the one leading the charge now at this point. You're no longer just working for your dad. You're no longer just working in transportation. You are employing people, like you said. What made you want to do that? Because that is a much bigger step than just working for the office.
Yeah, and I think the beauty of the model of Landstar allows you to do that, frankly. I mean, I think as any entrepreneur, you need to support yourself around good people and good companies and contacts. And I think if you ask any of them that question, I mean, who doesn't want more? And if the opportunities are out there and you have the tools in hand to grow your business, obviously that's going back into your pocket. And once you figure out the business side of those things, and we all struggle with, I think, in all of our careers or entrepreneur or where you're at, if you don't have the tools, you're going to die on the vine. Mm-hmm. So you're either going to have to pay someone to get those tools to grow your business, or, of course, in this case, a model such as Landstar allows you to do those type of things. So, truly, I will say it, if I didn't have them as a partner in my business, I would not be here. And that aspects of the capacity, the trucks, the drivers, the corporate people that are investing in us growing our businesses and giving us those tools to do that is truly, I have to say, is one of the reasons I did that, because I could see the opportunity. You're looking at growing your business. By the same time, it takes people, so you're hiring more people, and there's no limit to that. And obviously, in this Landstar system, as you know, there's some very large agents, very successful agents. As a matter of fact, going back, and I don't want to age myself again to the 8 tracks, but looking at some of the agents, it's just phenomenal to me when you're looking at agents doing in excess of $200 million. I mean, that's how I remember that was a monument peak for revenue that Ranger did back in the days. So that just gives you an idea of the success and the model that's working, and then for any agent, for that matter.
Right. Now we put pinkies to our mouths and go billions, which is insane.
That's true. So true.
All right. Agent analytics. For each one of these podcasts, we want to talk about something that contributes to entrepreneurship and how it helps you succeed at Landstar. And the agent analytics tool is one thing that we're talking about. When you started using this tool, what would you say was the first thing you noticed was an immediate impact on how you run your business? Like you walk in the next day, the next week, whatever, after using this, and you're like, wow, that really works for this.
Putting in the data, I noticed that immediately. I'm not waiting on the lag time of weeks on end to reconcile our commission statements, for instance. We kind of use that in this order where we're looking at the freight bill detail, and we're able to export that and actually use it by entering the freight bill information in once. So the immediate impact to that there, in addition to just trying to draw all these reports in what we look at. I was talking about our goal sets and our trends. Mm-hmm. Typically, in our staff internally, when we had to do that, it would probably take me over a month to actually see that. So now I'm seeing it daily, any place, any given time, whenever I wanted it. If I had an issue with a customer, because it's real data coming into me, we can address it immediately, not waiting a week or days before the problem's already beyond us trying to repair. So that truly, what I would look at, had a direct impact for us and for me.
And when we say that it's great for reviewing trends and setting revenue goals and a lot more, you can, correct me if I'm wrong, you can go in and look at a customer and immediately know if, hey, they haven't been moving freight with us. Like where you normally wouldn't have noticed that because you're so busy with other things. Now you can look at it daily and say, we haven't moved anything with them in a month or a week.
So true. Yeah. And I'm glad you said it, because we look at that on a weekly basis where, we can look at the trends compared to last year. I can go back 3 years if I wanted to, or just look at year over year. And I'll give that information where we're looking at the revenue. We're also looking at shipment counts. And around here, for us, we relatively know that we're averaging around $1,400, for instance, on a per shipment base that will equal to what we think our commissions are going to be brought in. But here, with this data, you can actually drill down on that information by account, or it'll give you an overview of your trending business altogether. Very easily point out your top customers, who is, let's just say lagging in the shipment counts. So then we'll address that on the sales side or at the account manager side. Say, hey, how come you haven't been talking to this customer? What's going on? Are our rates slipping? Are their business trends down? And ask those pertinent questions. So it's great for that.
It feels like a great alarm for agents and ringing a bell in terms of you need to address this right away, where in the old days, our old days, if you weren't on top of it every single day, you would have a hard time knowing you were not moving as much for that one particular customer, which is a great...
It's so true. I think when you're in the heartbeat in the operations, when you're at that level of an agent or agencies, The hardest thing, I think, for any entrepreneur is to kind of lose focus, lose sight, or feel the heartbeat. Meaning for our business here, when you're in the operation side, the phones are ringing, and you're talking to drivers, and you're talking to customers, you're doing the negotiations, it's easy to have, let's say, a feeling of how the trend of the business is going. Either it's really good, really bad, or we need to make more calls. As the business starts to grow, this is where the analytics starts to come in. When I separate myself in my own little office in my four, walls, I'm relying on managers. I'm relying on individuals doing what I did, but yet in different volumes. So again, going back to analytics and these tools, I feel that I'm somewhat in control. I can see without hearing, without being in there. Now I have all this information in front of me, and I'm able to analyze that in any way I wish, and it's real-time information that I'm able to obtain. So to me, I don't know where I would be without these type of tools that are accessible for me here.
You'd be back in the old days. You'd be running around with
we would.
Wooden cart. And...
We'll go. So true. Listen to 8-tracks.
Exactly. Going back to 8-tracks. Why didn't I think of that? I think I still have an 8-track player around here, but that's beside the point. Have you found that this helps you run your business on the go at all?
Yes. And I really think this tool will define everything as you're trying to stay on top of your business. And the reasons for it, it's there. Looking at load counts, looking at your customers, where we're up and down. The model is all there to able to have that information accessible to you at all times, anywhere. As long as you're accessible to some type of Wi-Fi or internet connection, you got it.
There are a lot of aspects to agent analytics, and obviously every agent's going to use it a little differently. What do you use it primarily for?
On the analytics side, again, I think on my side as the owner of the agency, I really try to look at that agent overview side where it's really trending. After the goals are established, are we hitting those marks? Are we trending in that right area? It gives me so much information on one screen, and then the ability to drill down any of that and start asking questions. That's usually my first go-to. The other side of that, going into the freight bill details side tab, I can't say it enough. We're exporting that data on a single entry when we put a freight bill in there. From there, believe it or not, again, we're reconciling our commission statements. I know I can look at my commission. I know what I had made that day in commissions, what I'm trending in, our net revenue to the agency. But furthermore, we take it even further. We export that data from the freight bill detail side of it, and we're actually making new reports now where we're, giving our ACMs this data of information, what they did, where they're going, so they now can manage their own segment of business that they're responsible for, and they're able to see the trends, knowing that we may be asking questions, and what do we got to do differently? So we actually export a lot of the data that's in there already for our own tailoring of reporting that we need to do here.
And has that directly impacted your relationship with customers?
On the customer side, yes. I think looking at that, there's actually a customer tab for that gives you some very nice detail that you can certainly export and show your customers. As a matter of fact, I did that one of our larger customers, showing them what we've done on our load counts. I can look at revenues. We can look at for instance, the paydex, are they paying us currently? There's an area in there that showing them the trends where they're actually shipping to from cycles. So it can give them an overview of a lot of different things that it may, again, not know what they're doing with Landstar. I'm able to provide them that type of information through analytics very easily done.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Well, we've discussed it in detail. Here's my simple question for everybody listening. How have you, Bobby, used this tool and it's made your life as an entrepreneur easier?
I'll go back to say this, that, the less time that we're involved on this admin side, I would rather be investing in people that are investing in the business that we're going to see something out of it. Meaning that if I'm going to add staff here, I'm going to be looking at that staff to be in a customer service side of our business that we're actually going to retain some revenue from there. And that involvement being whether we're going to go see customers, whether we're going to be in an operational dispatch function, but I can directly correlate that expense that's generating that revenue for me. When I look at the tools that are needed to, as we're trying to budget our revenues, our expenses at this level of our business, we need to have that information accessible. We're dependent on, knowing that information, where we're going, where we've been, where we're headed. To me, I don't know that I can put a price tag on it necessarily, but I just do know that maybe I'm anal in some senses looking at numbers and really understanding the business. It's that important to us. So has it made it easier? In some sense, what I look at, yes. I'm looking at a cost for my business and my admin side where I can reinvest into people that's going to make me money. And I'm not throwing it out, looking at, a different software that I got to put in here and buying different licenses to get this type of stuff. So,
or have people dedicated just to compiling the data that this tool does.
Yeah. And I don't think it's necessary when you have analytics, for sure.
Well, thanks so much for coming by. I do appreciate you doing this. I know you're busy, but thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Aaron. Good luck with this whole program. I think it's just awesome to hear. I was able to listen to that first segment and learn some things myself. So,
did you?
Thank you for inviting me on the show here today. And hey, if you want, give me a call. We can talk about something else.
We'll do. We'll talk about 8-tracks and skiing, and can you combine the two?
We can talk about skiing. We can talk about snowmobiling, some motorcycle, whatever you want to talk about.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Aaron. Bye-bye.
Wasn't that a great interview? We all know Tech Talk can be really hard to listen to, but I think Bobby did a great job of presenting that so that we all stayed very awake and in the moment. Thank you again, Bobby. We really do appreciate that. Applications for the Landstar Scholarship Fund for the 2020 to 2021 academic school year are now available. This fund was established to recognize and reward outstanding undergraduate academic achievement and civil involvement of children of Landstar employees, independent business capacity owners leased to Landstar, and independent sales agents. The deadline to apply is March 2nd, 2020. So if you want to submit, get on it. Also, we're going to toot our own horn here. Toot toot. Landstar was recently named as one of the top 20 best fleets to drive for in 2020 by the Truckload Carrier Association. We are very proud of that, mostly because how many 20s we got in a row. 20, 20, 20. I think that's pretty awesome. But seriously, thank you to everyone involved with Landstar that makes that achievement possible. It's a lot of work and it takes a lot of people. And it's everyone involved that makes that happen. All right, well, recently we posed this question on Landstar social media, calling it hashtag Road to Success podcast question. When did you first realize you wanted to become an entrepreneur? Were you sitting around looking at the stars? That's the moment. When was that moment that you decided you want to be an entrepreneur? Well, we received several responses. Do you want to hear them? I sure hope so. This is a podcast. It'd be really weird if you didn't. So here you go. Here's our first one from Chris.
Hey, this is Chris Grimshaw. I've been the BCO at Landstar for over 11 years now. And the reason why I chose to partner my business with Landstar is because I make the decisions. I make the call of when and where I go and when I want to be home with my wife and daughter to be there for the things that matter most in life. And with Landstar, I've been able to do that.
Thank you so much for that, Chris. And to paraphrase, he's saying that making the choices that he wants to make are why he became an entrepreneur. He wanted to be able to see his family, the most important thing in the world, as often as possible and on his own schedule. And that's why he chose it, for freedom. And he's right. Family is the most important thing. Second only to ice cream, which, fun fact, was originally created in China. Who knew? All right, let's move on to our second answer.
Well, good morning. This is Ronnie Haddon. I was actually born into a trucking family. So basically, we were born into a family of entrepreneurs in the trucking industry, from uncles and aunts and grandparents to down to me. When I struck out on my own, I started out driving for a company, and I learned real fast that driving for a company wasn't for me. Only being home 2 days a month, doing what they wanted you to do every minute of the day, never been able to do anything, never spending time at home with the family. So I went out and bought my first truck, an old International TransStar cab over. No air ride, no AC, no nothing. Yeah, no power steer, no power brakes or anything. No 300 Cummins. You never got anywhere really quickly, but you enjoyed the freedom that come along with it. Choosing your own loads and going where you want, and still coming home big time for the family. You know, to me, family time is the most valuable thing anybody can ever have in this business. I never really wanted to grow to be a big business, just to make money, to pay the bills, and spend time with the family and do things with my family more so than anything. It's never really been an easy road to hoe, by no means at all, but you pushed on, you survived, looking forward to the next better year, and the exciting challenges each year had to offer. I've just always been a very challenging person, so I've always loved this business. The main reason for me was the two reasons. I was born in this business, but mainly family time. Thank you.
Well, there it is again, family. Family is the most important thing to a lot of people, and he wanted to be an entrepreneur so he could make the decision of when he was going to be home with his family and have that quality time. He also seems to like little challenges, was born into it. Like I've said before, everybody has a different journey into transportation. Some people are born into it, like Ronnie here, and some people just find their way to it. Everyone has a different story, and I love hearing everyone. So we got one more answering the question, what made you want to be an entrepreneur?
Hi, this is Deborah Bree. My husband and I are team drivers here at Landstar. We got into trucking almost 14 years ago. We both had career changes. We quickly became successful as drivers but wanted more for ourselves. We had a vision and a dream. Becoming owner-operators was one part, and partnering with Landstar was another. We're now living the dream and trucking our way. Thank you, Landstar.
Thank you so much for that, Deborah. Really appreciate that. We had a vision and a dream of being entrepreneurs, and they are. They made it happen. That's all we want for anyone here at Landstar. We want your vision, your dream of entrepreneurship to come true. Please follow us on social media and search for hashtag Road to Success for our next question. Answer on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or leave us a voicemail at 800-577-5227. That's 800-577-5227. Or just email us at roadtosuccess@landstar.com. And if you have a great story you want to share about transportation or becoming an entrepreneur, leave it there. Love a voicemail. You get a lot of context with voicemail. We can understand where you're coming from. That's part of the joy. Hey guys, you want to hear a secret? Come a little closer. We're done. That's it. Thanks for listening to The Road to Success. Be sure to keep reading our Road to Success magazine. More episodes will be coming your way soon. Be sure to hit subscribe if you haven't already, so you're the first to get the next episode, as well as find Landstar's social media pages and share this episode with your friends. Always use the hashtag Road to Success and tell us where in the country you're listening from, because I love to hear that. Guys, that is it. I am out of here. This is Aaron Peterson, your host, saying thank you so much for listening. And no matter what end of the trucking business you fall into, always remember that safety comes first.